Welcome to How Hard Could It Be, where I make a YouTube video and talk about my challenges in the process. Straight up, I cannot make a script for a Spider-Man vs. Venom movie right now. None of my thoughts are coalescing into a solid story, so instead, I'm going to do a script pitch for Spider-Man 4. Without further ado, here's my Spider-Man 4 proposal. Alright everyone, let's talk Venom. He's the central villain to this whole movie. I want to frame this like a horror movie. Venom is a threat to both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Venom should be an ever-present threat, and there should be an amount of paranoia for when he'll show up during the movie. We started every movie in this series with an opening narration. That won't change. But it will get interrupted while Peter is driving to school, with Venom punching Peter into the air, beating him up, and taking his backpack, and unceremoniously dropping him on the sidewalk. Peter goes to class and has to admit to Doc Connors that his homework was stolen by a supervillain, hopefully leading into a funny moment. The beginning will also introduce Herman Stulz, or the Shocker. He'll have the Chekhov's gun slit for later in the story. He'll either be a down-on-his-luck engineer trying to do solo work, or an ex-employee of Osborn Industries. Harry possibly has a hand in the man's firing due to the company downsizing or something along those lines. This will be his major motivation, not necessarily a bad guy, just down on his luck trying to get by, trying to get some funds together to make his own company. This will lead to him developing the gauntlets, the padded suit with his signature design. It'll stay pretty close to the comics with maybe a little bit of design changes here and there. After this, I'd really like to get a moment with Peter and Spider-Man both attending the funding event set up for Penny Marco in the previous movie's mid-credit scene. This is another perfect opportunity for Venom to try to ruin things, but may wind up with the whole event getting more funding due to the action scene in it. I think it's really imperative for Peter to follow through on this and make it a positive moment from the last movie. The last movie, of course, also left off with Harry becoming Venom. He'll have some scenes with him talking to himself, some plotting, and possibly fumbling dates with MJ due to the symbiote's influence. He'll probably wind up breaking up with her either during the midpoint of the movie or towards the end as his obsessions with Spider-Man heat up thanks to both his own issues and those of the symbiote. The rift will probably grow due to him probing MJ for information on Peter Parker and his habits. Aunt May will certainly have a good couple of moments with Peter as he fixes his life due to the way the last movie ended. He'll make proper amends to MJ, giving her space, then asking to be her friend again. He may move on from her completely as well, spending time to balance his life out better rather than rushing into another relationship thanks to May's advice. May is certainly an emotional center to Spider-Man's story, and I think she needs more scenes in this movie, like she has in many of the others. Let's talk conflicts. Peter will be doing steady work for the Bugle. Peter and Betty will flirt a little during their various interactions, but this won't lead to anything serious. Eventually, Peter and Venom will have a confrontation at the Daily Bugle, with the major source of tension here being Venom spilling the beans about Peter's identity, because we know Jonah wants that information, of course. Before the midpoint of the movie, Spider-Man will take on the Shocker, thanks to police giving him a heads up, maybe even having this be one of the previous actors from either the bridge fight or train fight from Spider-Man 1 or 2 respectively. Spidey will come in, asking for his stage name, to which Shocker will stumble his words for a moment and say, the Shocker. Spider-Man will quip back with, the Shocker would be a better name for an electricity-themed villain. Shame I haven't found one of those yet. Actually, on second thought, maybe best not to tempt fate. Shocker will talk about the vibral gauntlets for a moment as they fight, with Spider-Man seeming to be impressed. Spider-Man will probably quip back with something like, wow, I only had to get bit by a genetically modified spider. Shocker will also drop the details about his suit being made from non-Newtonian fluids to resist punches and gunshots, seeming pretty proud of his work. For this first major conflict, Venom will intervene, accidentally helping the Shocker to escape, but empty-handed. Venom may also get grazed by a stray shot from the sound vibrations on his way in, briefly react before going back to his original prey, Spider-Man. Spider-Man will have taken notice of this before they actually get to fighting. This fight will probably result in a draw with Spider-Man being able to get away or Venom escaping. Maybe a little bit of the two. Sometime during the midpoint of the movie there will be an instance of Spider-Man fighting some street crime. He'll be really distracted, his head will be on a swivel as if he's almost acting on instinct, dodging punches and throwing webbing around as he's on the lookout for Venom. This will lead into the Shocker fight. There may be a cutaway showing Harry on an ill-fated date night with MJ. Spider-Man will manage to fight the Shocker by himself this time. He'll realize that when Shocker charges and fires the gauntlets, the Newtonian fluid in his suit stiffens, making him more susceptible to impact, using that to hit him with something via his webs. This will give him a moment to yank off one of Shocker's gauntlets. He'll take the other off and ask Herman about why he's doing this. He's clearly gifted. A prison sentence will ruin his life irreparably. In the end, though, Spider-Man will have to let the Shocker be taken in by the police. After this, Venom will be continuing to harass Spider-Man and Peter Parker, interrupting his ability to do either of his jobs properly. Spider-Man may come to his house having been ransacked, his film torn out of his camera, and other such acts of vandalism. If he has a vehicle such as a scooter he's had in the past, it'll have its tire slashed. One of the key aspects of this is that Peter will not know who Venom is yet. He may suspect it's Harry, but he won't know for certain. Harry may also turn around on what he said during their fight in the last movie and attack Aunt May. Not seriously, but enough to likely lead to a final confrontation. This will lead to Peter likely knowing it's Harry and that he got the symbiote and that it's taking over more and more. Peter will be planning on taking on Venom and will reconstruct the gauntlet mechanisms. He'll implement them internally into his suit so they're smaller, not overly obvious, so he can get the drop on Venom with the sound blasts. During their next clash, Spider-Man will be taken by surprise, but also be ready for him. He'll eventually get a solid sonic blast on Venom's head. This will be where he actually reveals Harry to be behind Venom. His suspicions come true. From here I have 3 potential endings. Peter ends the conflict by taunting the symbiote to rejoin with him, and the symbiote takes him back. Peter comes to terms with the symbiote and the two come to an understanding. Harry may be grateful or may be angry, but their continued relationship will be up in the air, possibly leading to another movie. The second option is Peter tries to taunt the symbiote into rejoining with him, however it will have bonded completely with Harry, causing the two to fight with one another and, in the end, enable Peter to either disable the symbiote, Harry, or both. From here he'll probably trap the symbiote in the gas chamber in the Goblin's secret stash. From there he can try to destroy the symbiote in an attempt to rescue Harry. The third possible ending is probably my favorite. Peter spends much of the fight trying to get through to Harry, and he uses the gauntlets to subdue him and the symbiote long enough to give him the line, "Harry, you have so much right now. You have a company that respects you, you have money, powers, and even a partner. Don't waste it all on hate. With great power comes great responsibility." This will lead to Harry realizing all of the advantages, all the power he has, and he'll hopefully come to the understanding of, wow, I've been a major jerk-off. When we close out the movie with this ending, we'll get some uplifting narration and reflecting, and we'll have Venom and Spider-Man swinging alongside each other for the end credits. Alright, that wraps up my pitch. Let's talk challenges. The major challenge with this, of course, was the pitch itself. A script pitch is supposed to be a 20-minute telling of the major plot points, themes, and other things like that. Hopefully I've cut that down to be a bit shorter, so you don't have to be here that long. A lot of this is undecided and up in the air for me, but the one thing I really want focused on for a movie like this is the horror aspect of it. The tension. Peter really should be paranoid, and I know it's not as well represented in the script as I'd like, but it really is the focus here. Coming up with other ideas to mingle into this story is the really hard part. Do I introduce more characters? Another love interest? Are there other areas to ramp up the tension? What about exposition that's not boring but is actually engaging? How does the pacing work here? Trying to script it all out from scratch just wasn't working out for me, so I tried this instead. Maybe it'll be a valuable practice for the future. From here, I have one question. What ending do you think would be the most compelling? Leave a comment on which one you prefer, or even suggest a new one. Who knows, maybe with enough audience participation I'll be able to do a full script write for my next Spider Month. Just so long as you remember to obnoxiously narrate your life, visit your aunt, lie to your boss about how you get your pictures, find another pseudo-modern take on a classic villain, and...
Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah?